Be careful. You might learn something.
Let's go.
You are now tuned in to the Factual Opinions Podcast with your hosts. I am Pharaoh. Straight facts.
What's up, world? Factual Opinions Podcast back at the place to be. Your humble and gracious host, I am Pharaoh, checking in with the Brown, Bruce Wayne, Big John.
Yes, sir.
Will West, the best Nate.
You know it.
We did it again, folks. We got Bearcat royalty at the place to be.
Yes, sir.
Sure.
Let me get my intro out of the way because y'all know I like doing this. So if you don't know who I'm sitting next to, I'm sitting next to the newly enshrined UC Athletics Hall of Famer, was a huge contributor on the 1992 Final Four squad and the 93 Elite Eight squad. Is drafted in the first round of the 93 NBA draft by the defending champion Chicago Bulls, 25th overall, right?
Mm-hmm.
Played, this is a stat that I love, y'all. So Dan Hoard tipped me off on this one.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe this man is the only person that can say he played with Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, and Shaquille O'Neal as teammates. And there's a couple other people y'all might know, like Nick Van Exel, Kobe Bryant, but held his own as well. So we are sitting next to the Bearcat legend, Corie Blount, in the place to be. Appreciate you coming through, brother.
Oh, man, it's all love. Thanks for having me, man. I've been anticipating this for a while, so let's get it cracking, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Overdue.
Yeah, for sure.
So the news of the day, I'm sure you got plugged in. Aziz got his immediate waiver finally. Yeah. So hopefully we can get Jamil Reynolds in the place to be, and I feel a little bit more comfortable about that front line going into the Big 12.
Yeah. I took a deep breath when you sent that. Goodness gracious.
I had to put that in.
I was a little worried. We wasn't gonna have no bigs going to this situation.
Well, we got Big Victor now. He's been holding it down lately.
I like Vic. Mm-hmm. I like Vic, but this is definitely bolster that front line, adding another active body in there. I certainly remember watching him against us last year in that NIT. So.
Blocking all them shots.
Yeah, man. Like a Clinton Capella, just active.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Wiry.
Absolutely.
All over the rim, all around the rim, all over the place.
Crazy thing, I had to go through that same situation my senior year, man. They held me 11 games. So I had to sue the NCAA to get my eligibility back. So I know what them young brothers going through. Once you get that word that it's all clear, you ready to go. I just hope they did like I did. I was blessed because Chuck Mayshock kept me in the gym during the whole period. Like even though the team was leaving, we'd be in the gym working. So once I got back acclimated, I fit right in, and we was rolling. So
yeah, well, that whole team though, man, was a bunch of guys that came from all over, JUCO transfers, people that transferred that already played for us, like Buford, following from Akron, I believe it was. So we'll get right into that. So we know the story about your Bearcat journey. Talk to me a little bit about what it was like for Brother C. Blount growing up in California. The JUCO Player of the Year, right?
Yeah.
So what made you choose University of Cincinnati? That's what I want.
All the way from Cali,
hey,
bro.
Man.
That's
y'all want the PG version or y'all want the rated R version sense?
I want the real.
For me, man, it was my whole junior college journey started. I ended up trying out for a junior college just to help my teammate who had played the year before I left high school. My coach had told me that, based off what I was doing at the time going in my senior year, that I could possibly go to junior college. And I'm like, man, I don't know what no junior college is. I want to go to UCLA, USC. If I don't got them options, I'm figuring it's over.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know nothing about JUCO. So he ended up telling my team, a teammate of mine, that he was going to take him to these junior colleges to try out. So he called me like, Blount, man, why don't you go with me, man? And, at the time I was, in the hood doing what I was doing and hanging with my homeboys. So I wasn't really focused on basketball like that. And Coach Sims called me and said, man, I want you to go with Byron. I'm going to take him next week. So I said, all right, I'll go. So we were headed to Riverside Junior College. And that's like 40 minutes outside of where I grew up at, Monrovia, California. So for people in LA, they know, like, when you headed to Riverside from that direction, the traffic is unbelievable. Mm-hmm. So we get in the van and it's thick. We ain't going nowhere. Like,
no movement.
No movement. I'm sitting here like, man, this might
LA
not.
traffic, some of the worst
sick
in the country,
especially back then. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we ain't moving, and I'm like, man, this might not just be a good day to try this, Coach. He like, well, you know what? Let me jump off I'm gonna call my guy. A buddy of mine just got the job down in Santa Ana, so wasn't no cell phones back then. So he jumps off the phone and he gets back in the van and say, we're headed to Santa Ana. And I'm like, where is that? That's the opposite direction, another 40 miles.
Damn.
So he jumped back in the van, turned around, busted we head down south. And we hit the gym in Santa Ana, and right when we walked in, they was matching players up in teams. So, he walked up to Coach Dana Pageant was like, man, Dana was like, I'm glad you brought them guys, man. You see we got tryouts. Just put them on the team and let them go. And so they put me and my boy Smoke Byron on the same team, and I just went to work. Like, it was just one.
That's all it take. Sometimes you just gotta walk in the gym, like, oh, I see what's in here now.
Man, I went to work.
See a victim. I see a victim.
You put an athlete in their element.
Hey.
It's like riding a bike. That's all.
Yeah, so when I got done, like I say, we were really there to try to push Smoke. And Coach Pageant was like, man, he walked up to Coach Sims and was like, man, I like your guys. He said, I like Byron, but what's the deal with the tall, skinny kid? And he was like, yeah, Corie played for me last year, and I'm trying to get him to go to school. And he walked up to me and said, would you like to go here? I'm like, I guess, yeah, I definitely will. So that year, I ended up walking on down to Santa Ana Junior College. And the first game, made the team and all that. The first game, I went up for a loose ball and came down and broke my foot in 3 places.
Mm.
So I sat out that year. I was done. And he always told me, like, man, if you get better, you more than welcome to come on back down here and go to school. So I sat out that year, got my foot right, and went back to Santa Ana, and the rest was history. Like, shoot, we won this championship 2 years in a row. We went 35-2 my first year and 37-3 my second year. I was the league player of the year, the conference player of the year, and the national junior college player of the year. So I'm getting recruited by all these different schools. And the team that we beat in the championship was Terry Nelson. In the second
Shout out to
championship.
T-Nail.
Yeah. And so me and Emart was on my team. Eric Martin, he was a second team all conference too. So we was just all used to get together and hoop in the summertime and my thing, I was a 40-ounce man. I drank OE
Oh yeah,
every day.
from the West Coast. That was y'all thing.
Yeah.
Some eyes and some OD.
Man, I had to have that after hooping and everything, celebration, anything was old English. So the reason I'm telling you that, because that's what kind of goes into the story. So we end up hooping, and one day, man, after we got through hooping, Terry was like, hey, man, what you think about going? I was like, well, man, I got 2 more trips left. I'm going to go to Utah, because Rick Majerus was the first coach that told me, hey, if I get you, I can guarantee you a pro. Ain't nobody ever told me no shit like that. So I'm going to come see what you talking about.
Right, for sure.
That'll fuck up your mind right there. Like, oh, you talking about going pro already?
Me? You know what I'm saying? Like, all right. But then I took that trip and Utah ain't the spot.
That cold different.
Yeah, and it was just a whole different environment for
Culture
me.
shock.
Yeah, there you go.
Culture shock for sure.
So then I ended up leaving there, and I took my trip to Arizona State. Had a great trip there. Headache Smith. I don't know if you guys remember.
I'm about to say they was going nuts at
it was a little wild
yeah.
back then. And when I came back, I got with T-Nail, and T-Nail was like, man, can you imagine if we all go to the same school? And I was like, well, what you mean? Like, just imagine if me, you, and Eric all go to the same school, man. Where we going to go? We going to turn it out. And we all was like, well, we had our letters. Well, what school? In Cincinnati. Steve Moeller was just on it. Cincinnati. I'm like, well, what's up with this Cincinnati coach? He's like, man, he talking to me too. I said, well, what's up with it? Where is Cincinnati?
Didn't even know.
Yeah, only thing we knew about Cincinnati, y'all a little younger than me, but it was a show called WKRP in Cincinnati.
Yeah. Oh, man, I remember.
That's the only thing I knew about Cincinnati.
About the radio station, yep.
And I think it was Terry was like, man, let's just take the recruiting trip, Blount, see what it's like. And we came out here, man. And I never forget, Buford and AD was like, took me around. He's like, what you drink? I said, English. And so we walking through the little pony keg. So I look in the thing. I went to go grab the 40, and I looked to the left. I seen a 64 ounce of Old English 800.
The big boy.
I said, oh, no. Hey, I'm home, man. I don't need to take no more trips. This is it. And shoot, man, I ran into
64s in Cincinnati.
What?
Yeah,
but $2.30 too.
$2.30.
I thought OE would make somebody come to get
Hey, man, yeah, that was it, man. I was so
surprised. I ain't
Never got
the story I heard. I heard another story.
So that first interaction though, when you met Coach Hug, talk to me about that.
my first interaction, because like I say, Hugs wasn't really involved in my recruiting. It was mostly the assistant coach. Because come to find out, from what I was told, Mo had came out here and Hugs didn't think that he would be able to get any players. So after we start taking interest, Hugs came out to visit me. And I was raised by my great-grandmother at the time. So he came to the house, and it was me sitting here, my grandmother sitting there, and Hugs was sitting there, and he put these pennies on the table like, with your attributes, you won't be in the post. You'll be able to run around on the outside and slash and cut. We can use you and your ability to play defense, telling me all the shit I wanted to hear at the time. And I'm like, that's what's up, that's what's up. And I never forget, because I just came from Arizona State.
That shit changed.
My grandma was like, well, he really said he enjoyed Arizona State. No lie. And Hugs was like, really? Well, Miss Kelly, Arizona State is a very good school. But do you know that they don't acknowledge Martin Luther King's birthday?
She threw the rock.
Hey, Hugs came with something real quick though. Like they don't even celebrate, And she was like, "What? Well, he won't be going to that school then." And Hugs sat back like, "Well, what you think?"
Yeah. Got her.
Yeah. I can see
So
Hugs
did.
doing that.
Yeah. So that was my first interview. He was so cool, laid back. So I'm like, man, yeah, we all agreed, like, oh, he's so cool, man. We're gonna go to Cincinnati and shit. Once we got
first
here.
Practice.
It wasn't even the first practice. We were supposed to all be in the gym. Herb Jones was going to play with the Xavier cats all the time, so we didn't ever get to see Herb. And Hugs was on recruiting, and he wasn't there. So when he got back, he heard that we weren't all in the gym together. And I'll never forget, this was my really first interaction with everybody in Hugs. He had us go down to the you had to just go down to the racquetball room, and he put us all against the wall. And he motherfucked us and son of a bitch us. And I'm like, whoa, where this come from? You know what I'm saying? Where they do this at? You know what I'm saying? So that was my really first introduction with Hugs. Just wow, man, it was unbelievable.
Well, we had the relatively new arena when you got there.
The Shoemaker.
Yep.
Yeah.
Shoemaker was still relatively new, so that was popping. But what always amazed me about that team that you were on is the fact that all of y'all were kind of like hodgepodge together, like you said. A lot of JUCO transfers. Nick came from a JUCO also. So I always wonder how like Hugs got y'all together and playing as a cohesive unit. But it sounds like he had to force that from the start, like you said, getting everybody in the gym together from the start to build that camaraderie, I guess so.
Yeah, I think it more so came from the summer league they used to have here when we first got here too, man. At that gym, the Purcell League, it used to be cracking in there. So once we started playing with each other and kind of seeing everybody.
Oh, you was on that Cats team.
Yeah.
I just thought about that. I just now don't think back because when I was young, I used to go to that.
Purcell.
Because I used to always go because my older brother's name is Tony Owens.
Okay.
And Big Rico used to be like, yeah, we got playing over there at the league. It used to be Devereaux.
Well, it was Devereaux. That's big. It was after.
It was after that. Yeah. So, but yeah, he used to tell us about that, and that was my first time seeing all
the guys,
the new guys coming in. And I'm like, oh shit,
that was a ritual.
Nobody.
Yeah, that was a ritual back then. Everybody had to hoop in that, and then I think that's what really got us to see what everybody game was like. And then we would lock horns in Lawrence gym at the school, and I think it was Herb said, man, we got some ballers, you know what I'm saying? We should be pretty good. And I think he said, we should make a run in a tournament, but I ain't know shit about that at that time. I'm just like, man,
I'm
whatever
just trying to play.
Yeah.
I'm thinking.
So that team went 29-5, I believe, was the record. Played Memphis 3 times that year during the regular season, twice in conference tournament. Of course, their best player was Penny Hardaway at the time. Very impressive wins on that run to the Final Four. So I wanted to ask you about that too. What was that like in Minneapolis? I mean, you were part of the group that brought UC back to being top 25 and national championship contender. I believe it was Indiana,
Michigan, Duke, and us.
Yeah.
So
of course,
didn't Indiana have
Calbert Cheney?
Yep. Right?
Yeah.
Of course, y'all locked horns with the Fab Five, but you know what? And everybody knows See, Bearcats basketball is all I'm about when it comes to college basketball.
Mhm.
But when it comes to college football, I am a sturdy son of Ohio. I root for my state university.
Oh.
But that Michigan team.
That's what I was gonna just thank God. I'm glad you ain't say you was a Michigan guy. I was about to get up and leave about this month.
No. But I do give respect to the Fab Five for what I think they meant culturally.
Yeah.
To the game. But what I do notice is they talked a lot of trash, a lot of shit to their opponents.
Yeah.
But they didn't do that when they played y'all leading into that game.
T-Nell's let us know that.
T-Nell gave us.
He gave us
T-Nell issued a warning to C-Web.
Yeah, everybody shit.
No free.
We didn't get the notoriety that they got. You know what I'm saying? But you got to look at those were All-American, high school All-Americans, and we was just a bunch of junior college players. So, I know y'all a little younger than me. There used to be this comedian named Rodney Dangerfield, and his little tagline was, I get no respect. You know what I'm saying?
No respect.
So that's what I told the media. I'm like, man, I feel we the Rodney Dangerfield of college basketball. We don't get no respect, but y'all gonna see, you know what I'm saying? And that's kind of the moniker we took, man. And the good thing about it, we had a brash of characters on that. Everybody was kind of stupid, you know what I'm saying? So once we got together, whoever we played, and once we started really getting in somebody, it was over. Like it was over.
So what was your most cherished memory that stands out the most about that Final Four run and actually being there in Minneapolis?
You know what, my people who know me and can remember that game, it was a game before that where we were playing Memphis. And Nick, I threw the ball to Nick down in the post, and he scored it, and he went to talking trash. And so him and I can't remember the player was talking trash, and the referee came in and was like, chill. So I go to Nick and like, man, chill. Don't let these motherfuckers get involved in this. And the referee was like, what'd you say, Blount? You called me a mother. I'm like, nah, I wasn't even talking to you. Yeah, you did. I heard you. And I'm like, man, I was talking to my teammate. So he sent me to. So I'm like, dang. Hugs was like, what'd you say? I'm like, man, I was talking to Nick. So I sat down, and I never forgot that. So Hugs was like, well, we might have that ref again. And the next Final Four, Hightower was the ref, right?
Mm-hmm.
We called drop 5. That was the first play of the game. You can look at the video. I get the ball in the post and do a quick spin on Chris Webber, and he called me for a foul. 2 seconds left in the game. Like, soon as I spin, and he look at me and I look at him, and I'm just like, I'm fucked.
There we go.
Yeah, point blank. Because once you get one foul that early, now you're playing not to get the second one, because you get the second one, the routine is you got to come out. So I'm playing, I don't want to say timid, but I couldn't be that aggressive as I wanted to. And I ain't gonna lie, man, with the team they had and as big as they was, without me being in there playing a certain amount of minutes, it was gonna be tough for us to get that win, because we was talking shit to them young dudes. Like, we was kind of happy we got them, because in our minds wasn't no bunch of freshmen gonna beat us.
Yeah.
We knew we was going to realistically, like, we going to the chip.
Yeah.
Like, we about to go to the chip. Man, we know they ain't seen no pressure like us. And as you see, you start the game,
They really hadn't, because
it was ugly.
Although we are a little bit younger, I can tell you I probably watched that game like over 50 times.
Yeah.
And I remember that. It's funny getting like the inside detail now. Like when you went out, the dynamic of the game definitely changed.
Yeah.
Like you said, you talking about
that makes sense.
Chris Webber, 6'10",
Yeah.
Juwan Howard, 6'11".
And don't forget Eric Wiley.
I was going to say Eric
7'4".
Riley.
Yeah.
Only reason he was on the bench is because of them dogs that came in there. I mean, they had size to go around. Jalen Rose was running point at 6'7".
Come on, man.
Jimmy King,
6'4", 6'5". Like,
Ray Jackson.
I was tripping myself. Like, young niggas a little bigger than what I.
It's some grown ass.
Yeah, and they had game too, though.
The thing that really stood out to me in that game, like you just said, you went out. You kind of was. You couldn't be the active person you wanted to be, but at the same time, you got Juwan Howard across from Chris Webber. That whole defensive aspect, the matchup wasn't there for them.
Yeah.
For y'all starting off the game.
No doubt.
The fact that Juwan Howard was also an All-American as well. So
6'11".
yeah, and he huge.
Yeah, they was all McDonald's All-American.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. So that's it was like the number one thing that really stood out was like it was just so many mismatches, and y'all held y'all own.
Yeah.
The whole damn game, really.
Yeah.
Who was the broadcaster that used to do that man to man, like on CBS.
He just retired. Send it in to the big fella.
Yeah.
Because he said it though. He said he was like, "This is gonna change things with Blount on the bench."
Yeah.
It was like it definitely because y'all got out to a nice little run.
Yeah.
And especially
with the press.
That press
was killing him.
And Nick was on fire too.
Oh yeah, Nick was killing him. Yeah.
Herb played well too though.
So I remember that next year, you all went to the Elite Eight, just one step short of running it back, and you lost to the eventual national champ North Carolina.
Yeah.
But again, that was like reinforcing that this ain't no fluke. Like you see, it's here to stay.
Yeah.
And I know Hugs was happy because he definitely, like you said, started to get people like my man D'Antonio Wingfield, the All-Americans, and then you got the Danny Forsons after that, and that opened up the door for the Ruben Pattersons, Melvin Levis, all that.
Yeah.
So I mean, definitely.
People want to come play at UC after that.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't get a ticket.
Not just that though, but like I tell everybody, before I came to this school, I had never seen that C-Paul in my life. Oh man, cut his drinks immediately. He about to electrocute all of us. But that was the most pride thing for me because everybody in my neighborhood was mad I chose UC. I was supposed to go to Vegas, you know what I'm saying? And then I pick you, nigga, where you going to Cincinnati? Where is Cincinnati? I ain't never heard of them. And then we start balling. Now all of a sudden I come home, they got the UC hats on, they got the C-Paul shirts. Yeah, they repping now.
You.
So then that was the most pride thing for me because I knew that I had went somewhere and we had built and created a culture.
Yeah.
And everybody that talked about it was impressed on how we played. Like we pressed and was aggressive the whole game, and that's what people bought into. Is like, our moniker, I don't know if y'all knew this, but our moniker, when we walk in the gym, they used to call us Hugs Thugs. You know what I'm saying?
Y'all was definitely known.
I remember.
Y'all was definitely known.
So we
the Conference USA, that was something they used to say about y'all.
There was this video that I told T-Nail about when we had him on here, and I can't find. I had it on Instagram, but it was you, it was him. I don't know if Nick was in the video. I think it was Eric Martin was in it too. Y'all had on like the Naughty by Nature hats or whatever.
Yeah.
And I don't know if y'all was like spitting your own little bars or whatever. And I was laughing because I know that's what people used to say about y'all. But nobody wanted to get on that court with Cincinnati.
Nah.
For one thing, you wasn't going to out physical
Bearcat
basketball. Nah. So, and that's what I really want and hope that Coach Miller's doing. And I can kind of see him working towards that. We know we never got, outplayed a physical standpoint. Mm-hmm. Defense was always the emphasis. You might have won the game, but you wasn't going to win the fight, at least physical fight. And that was the identity of UC basketball back then. And of course, crazy people like Kmart, straight jacket crazy, as he would say.
Come on, man.
Kept that going and that tradition. And even Mick, while he was here, had that that identity as well.
He was the crazy one.
Yeah.
Out of the kids, he was the crazy one. So
all 5 of it. Yep. So you wrapped up time here, and you get drafted by, like I said, the defending world champion Chicago Bulls.
Yeah.
Did you have much interaction with Jerry Krause leading up to the draft?
A lot.
Really?
The crazy thing about it is I really thought I was going to go 16 to Boston.
Okay.
Because I had a hell of a workout for them. You know what I'm saying? And I never forget, man, we was at Hug's house watching the draft. Well, let me go back to Jerry first. So when I went and worked out for the Bulls, it was me and a guy named Conrad McCray.
Okay.
And he was athletic as hell. And we went at it. Like,
I don't even remember him.
Yeah, he went to Syracuse. Long jumping nigga. So we going at it. And Jerry was impressed with both of us. But based on the team and the success I had, he was like, I'm going to tell you this. Right now, we got the 7th and the 25th pick. Unfortunately, we got our 7th guy already. We're working on this deal. Don't tell nobody to get this Croatian kid from Croatia.
The
shooter.
Yeah.
The shooter.
After we draft him, if we might try to trade up, but if we don't, and if you're around the 25th pick, I'm guaranteeing you're our guy. And I was like, for real? He's like, yeah, man, we want you. We think you'll be a perfect fit for us. He said, but the first thing we're going to have to do is send you home. And I'm like, send me home for what? He said, well, during your background investigation, we see that you got $10,000 worth of warrants. You got to go back to LA and take care of.
Jesus, peace.
So I'm like, huh? I wasn't even aware of that. He's like, yeah, you know, you got a bunch of traffic violations you need to go back and take care of, but you are a guy. I'm like, man, cool. So I come back. I'm thinking, like I say, I had a hell of a workout for Boston. And I
That'd have been a great place.
come back, you know,
Where you go?
That's our resident Celtics
you like
fan.
So we you know, we had at Hug's house watching the draft, and of course me and Nick talking, because Nick was supposed to go like 7th or 8th.
Yeah, I'm about to say Nick was predicted to be top 10.
Way high up there, and then that didn't go as planned. So the first round went, I mean, after the first 10 and he didn't get drafted, you know, we was all really sitting around to see what was going to happen after that. So when the 16th pick came up for Boston, they picked A.C. Earl.
I remember that.
And I was like,
that was a bust.
yeah. So I was like, all right. And then we sat around and the 25th pick came, and man, Stern walked up and like, you know, the rest was history. And I'm like,
So like, we all.
And then Nick got drafted. I'm sorry, Nick got drafted.
The 36th pick in the second round.
Damn.
Yeah.
We all 90s kids, man. So we already know. Like, how did it feel to, like, I know getting drafted by the world champions, but knowing you going to the Bulls with all those guys, like, how did you feel? Because I'd be like a kid in the candy store. I know as an athlete, the goal is to get drafted as high as you can. You may not go to the best team,
Right.
but you're gonna get your money, you're gonna get your accolades or whatever. But
Yeah.
how did you feel going to the Bulls?
Well, of course, I was happy than a runaway slave.
You know, you getting that guarantee.
Yeah, there you
You get
go.
that
Right.
guarantee
It
coming
really
in.
wasn't about the Bulls for me, and I'm going to tell you why. Me and Nick used to argue all the time. See, Nick is from Kenosha, Wisconsin. That's like 40 minutes from Chicago. So he was a Bulls fan. You know, I'm a Laker fan to the fullest.
Right.
Magic,
Yeah.
Kareem.
For sure.
So that used to be our argument, and that's what's crazy because he got drafted to the Lakers and I got drafted to the Bulls.
Right.
So I was, you know, of course I was happy I got drafted, and then the whole thing at that time, you know, who didn't want to or didn't admire Michael Jordan at the time. So, you know, when I got drafted by the Bulls, I was just like, I'm going to Chicago. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, it's on. And the plans, knowing I'm going to be going. See, I didn't look at playing with them guys. I looked at, man, I'm getting ready to be going against Michael Jordan, Horace Grant, Scottie Pippen, Stacey King, Scott Williams, Will Perdue.
B.J. Armstrong.
All them, you know, they was loaded at that time.
Man.
Bill Cartwright, you know, that forward and center position at that time was thick.
Right.
So I'm
They
thinking,
didn't they get rid of Bill that year?
no. Bill was there my rookie year.
Bill retired after the 94 season.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
So it was just that was my mentality. Like, man, I'm getting ready to go to. And I was an undersized 5-man, of course, but you know, pretty undersized as a 4-man too. So I knew that I was getting ready to go to war, and of course I was happy to be drafted and then to go in the first round and to be going to the Bulls. I was just like, it's on. You know what I'm saying?
Because I always wondered, even looking back at it, even though I was so young at the time, like, but especially now being like a sports historian, like, did they draft you with the intent of replacing Horace Grant?
Well, you know, the real story is I was the first player to get drafted at the 25th pick and sign a 6-year deal. They never extended no guys that long, that late in the draft. But their plan for me was to develop and be there a while. You know what I mean? And I'm looking at Nick out there just having a field day, killing, and we on the phone going back and forth, and they sending me through the rigmarole war with the Bulls, like, just, you're not playing, you know, you're behind Scott Williams, Stacey King, Horace Grant, so I'm, you know, not getting no running.
Just sitting there.
Yeah, but when we hooping or I get my minutes, I'm like, man, shit, I'm balling, you know what I mean? And just immaturity most when I look back at it, like, because they didn't want to trade me. I used to get up after every game or something, and they come in, how you feel? Like, man, I don't think I'm going to never be successful here. You know, as soon as I say some shit, my agent called me, what are you doing? You know, they signed you for 6 years, you know, you got to wait. I'm like, man, I want to hoop. I want to play.
The thing is that made you
slow down.
stand out, though. You was definitely like one of those in between guys. You would have like that era of being in between, like a guy that can actually be in the post, but also be
Yeah, I could
can
guard
play
the
wing as
wing,
well
yeah,
and do all that because it was only Charles Barkley at that time.
Yeah. C. Blount had a jump shot too. In fact,
That's what I'm saying.
But that
he still
came
got
later.
it because I seen that IG clip. Y'all ain't see that with one of the best marksmen ever
Oh, yeah,
in UC history,
knocked
Steve
down.
Logan.
Hey, man,
He
this thing
missed
still-
out the gate and Blount is just.
Yeah, this thing still
He ain't
still
take
wet.
the coat
man.
off. Watch out, young blood.
Yeah, that's what made it so cold.
Right.
But I told him, he was like, run it back. Nah, I ain't running because I might not never hit like this.
Right.
And, it's just one of them days. Like, shit. So, yeah. But
Yeah, that was right after I saw you at the homecoming.
yeah. I love Steve, though. That's my guy, man.
Yeah, man.
Good
Another
Trying
Bearcat legend.
Get him in here too.
Mm-hmm.
Steve, we love to have you on here, man. First team All-American. We'd had a lot of your brethren on here already.
Yeah.
But after that first year, I remember the Bulls made it to the semifinals without Mike.
Yep.
Because when you got drafted, I don't think he had made his announcement yet. Did he?
Nah.
So like you said, you thinking you get ready to play with MJ or against MJ, and then he, not just the basketball world, but he devastates the sports world at large by retiring, and it totally flips the dynamic of the NBA and my New York Knicks. Capitalized and were able to feature, I think it was 6 games. Yeah. Finally,
You gotta burn this.
I'm just look. I'm tied back in. Most Bulls fans and NBA fans say it's an asterisk next to that anyway, because Michael wasn't playing.
Yeah.
So you
I'm listen.
I see you flexing.
Man, I was just trying to say.
Big John always got the wrist game problem, man. You go. But so that next year, you start off, team is not doing as well as your rookie year. People kind of adjusting to Chicago being without Mike.
Yeah.
Scotty had his issues stepping into being the lead guy at times. Bulls are kind of just barely above 500, I believe, after the All-Star break or around that time.
Was it that bad?
I think so.
I don't know. Shit, we was rolling.
Nah, y'all started rolling right before All-Star break.
Yeah.
Well, something happened though. What I'm alluding.
I got a
to.
question, but I'm
the one thing probably that happened that really kind of broke the whole scenario is when Scotty refused to go in the game. That might have put the tarnish on it, but we was rolling, man.
I remember that, and Bill Cartwright was reduced to tears, man, and Scotty felt real bad about that, man. At least from what I heard.
Yeah, that's what you heard.
Okay. Blood said, he doubled down on it on the Last Dance. They asked him would he do anything different. He said no.
Yeah, I mean, y'all, it was a little, little dynamic that went in between that decision that a lot of people, of course, not being in there in that inner circle, probably even couldn't comprehend. But you got to look at it like this: like here, you got me coming in, you got Tony coming in, right? And Scotty was the man.
Mm-hmm.
But Jerry and Phil did everything they could to give that title to Tony. You know what I'm saying? They would put him in positions where he could succeed. And it was so obvious and blatant to all of us, like, man, they really going out their way to put, Tony couldn't guard nobody with a shotgun in his hand.
No, he couldn't.
But they would make sure they would cover it up by putting me behind him or, somebody where he won't get exploited. And we all knew that, like, that was their favorite.
Was it just because they wanted him to be successful, or was it a little bit because of what Michael and Scotty did to him in the Olympic game, showing him up?
No, it wasn't none of that. It was, you got to realize the fact was the NBA was trying to introduce the
international
game to a global game. Yeah. So they needed those stars from all over the world to be successful when they was here. And so now here we got one of the best, at that time, Tony was like the best of the best in the European League. And he wasn't killing like everybody thought he was at that time. I mean, he was young too, you know what I mean? Right. But so they would put him in positions where he can succeed. And, man, Scotty had been carrying that team. I don't give a damn. Scotty led our team in scoring, rebounding, block shots, assists, steals, every category. Yeah. And now we got a tight game with the Knicks, and you're going to try to use him as a decoy? Even I was like, man, I wouldn't go. Man, I don't go in that game, man. You know what they trying to do. We was all in this. People like, man, I ain't going. You trying to use me as a decoy? The only bad thing that happened was Tony knocked that motherfucker down.
Hit that shot.
If we would have missed, we wouldn't even be talking, but he nailed that joker, man. So, everybody, man, anybody on that team, and not just me, you can talk to can't nobody say nothing bad about Pip on that team.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Do you think part of it was not just the decoy and them trying to feature Tony like that? I think he said something before about, obviously him being the lead guy on that team. He wouldn't have took the ball out of Michael's hands in a situation
No way.
like that.
Yeah.
I think that probably bothered him,
Yeah.
too, because he's been venting a lot of stuff
Yeah.
lately. And that's something I actually used to give him credit for. I used to say, like, man, Scotty handled that situation better than almost anybody I could imagine
He did.
could, because you're talking about one of the greatest of all time himself. And I hate that a lot of people don't acknowledge that. I mean, some people do, but still not to the extent of, like, you got to see up close and personal.
Yeah.
He's the true reason of the two-way player.
But because he was so great, the only reason he got overshadowed is because he played with Michael Jeffrey Jordan.
Yeah. No doubt.
I often ask people, like, what would have happened if the Bulls never made that trade and he stayed in Seattle, and let's say everything else shook out the way it did, and you talk about him being paired with Gary Payton and Sean Kemp out
Jesus.
there,
That'd have been scary.
Deadlift Shrimp, and
that
that
would've
squad
been
out
ugly.
there, like,
I ain't never even looked at it like that. Would have
Yeah.
been
Yeah.
disgusting. Shit.
it might look a
You got
little
a
different.
young Rain.
Oh, my
too,
God.
A young
Yeah.
Rain Man that's jumping over everybody in the
Yeah.
gym.
Yeah,
It would have been different.
Yeah.
Gary Payton throwing them alley-oops, but I mean that's
Left and right, too.
And you would have had two of the best defensive players in the
one
game.
team.
On one team.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That would have been a problem.
That'd have been a problem. Seattle might have had a ring if that had happened.
Yeah, no
I
doubt.
think they had at least got one.
Yeah.
Pretty sure of that.
And I know what you said about them trying to expand the worldly game, but everything that Scotty put into the team and the championships and the winning, like, that's your guy. So it's still not registered. I understand you want to, make the game global, but how do you take that away? Like, that's a veteran. That's a guy. That's a Hall of Famer. That's the person that put you in that position. Like, is the global game more important than winning? Actually,
I think they seen dollar signs before the game. And then
Is that all y'all see?
And then
I'm just asking.
Look at my hand.
I'm waiting for them.
Look at my hand.
There you go. There you go. Somebody
international
pimping in here.
I
hand.
There
That's why I
you
did it on the
go.
low. Like, you see, there had some money involved in it.
I definitely
Yeah,
understand
now you talking about Chicago.
Yeah, we talking about Chicago.
I definitely
Yeah,
understand
man.
that. But when it's us that's getting you the rings and putting the butts in the seats, why would you shift?
And they called him the White Bumpy Johnson, bro.
Well,
What you mean?
what I wanted to say about that
Yeah, man.
is also, I think that's Jerry Krause getting in his way also, because I made, an intentional effort to bring him up and ask about your interaction with him leading up to the draft, because I do think that he is one of the greatest GMs of all time.
By
no question.
far.
Yeah, for sure.
But
I can never say nothing bad about
and I knew before the, Last Dance documentary that he got in his own way, sometimes with that. And I think that's also because his job, as he said many times, was, I'm part of building a world championship team here, but I also have to look at how do we continue this thing, or when do I hit the reset button, which was ultimately in that second three-peat run, where he still gets vilified for. And so you got to give him credit, because the Bulls were getting a little older, I think, in that time, with people like Cartwright and Paxson and stuff having to retire. He had to retool. He had to go out and get a Ron Harper or find a Tony Koo coach overseas. Be willing to take that gamble with a Dennis Rodman, coming into the fold.
Steve Kerr.
Yeah, and rebuild that
Bushler.
second team.
Mm-hmm.
So speaking on that next year you starting out, even if y'all were a little better than 500, things change. I remember Judd Bushler saying, all of a sudden, I just knew there was a different energy in the building. There's actually a clip of you walking out of the door as he's walking in.
Oh, yeah.
That I saw there. I was like, see, people don't even know that's Steve Blount right there, man, walking out the facility.
Yeah.
So talk to me, man. What was it like? What changed when MJ
Well,
started
I'm
coming
gonna give you
back
two
around?
scenarios, and this is the honest God truth. The first scenario was my first year when I had when you signed with the Bulls, I think we were the first team in the league to have a real workout facility just for the team.
Mm-hmm.
It was called the Berto Center. It was, at that time that was top design layouts and everything. But the cool thing about it is you got a key card where you can go in there anytime you want. And I never forget, it's honest to God truth, I went in there one night just to go shoot, coming from somewhere. I just said, I'm going to go to the gym. So I'm in the gym shooting. And so the key, when somebody hit the key card, the light would pop. So I see the flash coming. I'm like, damn, who else coming in here this late? And it's Mike.
Mm.
And this is my first time meeting him. I'm like, I said, damn, that's Mike. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you kind of starstruck.
like, okay, what I really want to work on now, I got. So he walked in. He like, what's up, Rook? I'm like, man, what's going on? He like, oh man, what you do? I said, man, I just came to get some shots. He like, that's what's up, man. Welcome aboard. He hit me with all that. Like, we're expecting some big things out of you. I seen you play at Cincinnati, man. I wish the best for you. I was like, thanks, man. I said, what you doing? He said, man, I just came to get some shots and do some thinking. You know what I'm saying? So me, I'm like, you want to play one-on-one? He's like, nah, I ain't come here for that tonight, but you'll get your chance. I'm like, man, all right, that's what's up. So he go in there and change, and he come back, and he just starts shooting on the other end. And I'm itching, like, you want me to rebound for you? He's like, nah, you good, Rook. I just, like I say, man, I just came to do some thinking. I was like, that's what's up. So this one, flip phones, I got a little money now. I had my little flip and got in the car. I called my boys like, man, I met him tonight, man. Yeah. We played one-on-one. I bust his ass. I'm spinning it everything. Yeah, he was cool though, man. So not really knowing, because it gave me a chance to reflect back. Like, damn. So I'm at home for like 2 weeks. Then I get the call from the team management saying, get back. We got a mandatory meeting. Mm-hmm. I'm like, damn, what's going on? We can't talk about it, just get back. So I fly back, as soon as I pull up to the gym, Benzes and everything out there. I'm everybody, like, damn, the whole team here.
Yeah, everybody there.
So I'm sitting there and then, like, what's going on? And me and Joe English was a rookie that he was like, man, I think they about to make some announcement about something. I'm like, okay then. And Mike come in the locker room, and he just stand up in front of everybody and kind of tell everybody, the situation with his dad. He was going through some things, man. I'm just letting y'all know that, I'm going to announce my retirement from the game. Mm. I was like, damn. You know what I'm saying? So then, Court, I went a flashback like that night, you know what I'm saying? When he was there, he was just probably, that's relief when you go to the gym and just get your shots and shit. So that happened. He ended up retiring. And then, so he started talking about coming back. So he would come back and he would hoop with us, And of course, he wasn't Mike. You know what I'm saying? He playing baseball. I'll never forget him and Horace I guess it was a little beef between them before I got there, because it was nonstop between them two. Mm-hmm. You ain't, all day. And we hooping, everybody talking trash, but between them two, it was something serious. It was serious. So I used to trip off that. But then, my little story is we playing one day and he go up to dunk and I blocked it. And I come down, nigga, you would never dunk on me. Uh-huh. And I never forget, he said, you better check my resume, you both. Like, I don't care what you say, you'll never catch me. Like, man, you better check my resume, boy. I done caught everybody. Like, it'll never happen. So, I'm talking trash and going back and forth with him. And so we go to the final game, the last game in the old stadium, when the Scottie Pippen charity game. Mm-hmm. And, that's when, to me, that's the point where Pip could have showed his dominance as far as him being the man at that time. His game, everybody was there because of him, but Mike showed up and showed out, of course, too. That was the problem. He had like 55 points that game.
In a charity game.
And then he dunked on me, you know what I'm saying?
He got
me, yeah. I told you I was going to get your ass. Like, take the ball out, nigga. Let's go. So, but it was just an amazing to know that he was making that decision to come back, and you could just see the progress every day. Like, we hooping, he getting better. The
charity game to let y'all know.
Yeah, it just started getting stupid at a time. And he came back, made that announcement, man, and shoot, I think it was the second game against the Knicks. I had never seen nothing like that in my life.
The double nickel.
Yeah,
they put it on the video.
Hype, when you actually see somebody put in that kind of work, I was like, bro, you might be the coach I've never seen, man.
Being a Knicks fan, we was on the other end of a lot of them spectacular games. Yeah. You got to appreciate it, but at the time, it wasn't that nice.
Yeah.
So you spent the first 2 years with the Bulls, and, you go out to L.A. Magic unretires. So now you get to play with the living legend, Earvin Magic Johnson. You back with Nick.
Yeah, man. That was it.
I know that some L.A. stories out there with you and Nick.
Yeah.
But so it was your second year with the Lakers that Kobe Bean Bryant came, right?
Yeah.
So I want to get into it before we forget, man. So tell people why Kobe Bryant belongs in the GOAT conversation, because a lot of people like to freeze him out. I had a little segment last week that I did where I said he don't have to be your GOAT, but I think it's disrespectful to leave him out.
No doubt.
What's your opinion on that?
Man, I don't even know how anybody could not incorporate him even in that conversation just based off his body of work. But you got to also realize this was a young cat that came out of high school. And yes, he didn't get them accolades his first year because he was on a damn good team. And he was sitting behind an all-star at the time in Eddie Jones. But he bust his ass every day to prove that was his spot. And I witnessed it every day. He was going at Eddie every day, like nonstop, like. And it was, you could just see the progress. You know what I'm saying? Seeing that, man, eventually something gonna have to be done because you can't hold this young, you can't hold him back. And then
I got to get my spot. Yeah,
and the confidence and the determined, man, it was just, he had a will, man. And then for him to get that spot and then play with one of the most dominant centers in the game and be able to compete at a level where his respect had to be respected.
Mm-hmm.
The rest is history, bro. That dude was phenomenal, man.
So I wish I could have been a fly on the wall when Jerry West walked in there and said the answer is trading Eddie Jones, because I heard that wasn't really that popular within the organization. Because like you said, Eddie Jones was an all-star and wasn't no slouch by
They sent him to Miami.
no stress. Yep.
Yeah.
They sent him to Miami.
No, Charlotte. He didn't go to Charlotte.
Oh yeah,
Well,
Charlotte
Charlotte
first.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it
Yeah.
was. He went to Charlotte first.
Went to Charlotte.
Yep. What was it like playing? Because I'm changing gears a little bit. What was it like playing for Dr. Bus?
Man, just L.A. in itself, man.
And you talking to a California kid.
Yeah, it's different when you know, I'm growing up in California. I lived in L.A., then I moved to Monrovia, then I moved back to L.A., then I moved back to Monroe with my great-grandmothers. But living in L.A. that way, and then now you're a Laker,
Oh, it's a different level.
Yeah.
man, I don't even think you could call it a different level. It's like heaven. You know what I'm saying? Because now you got money, you got the notoriety, and you know everybody already. So you're at the crib, man, and then the blessing for me is that my teammate, my brother, was the man at that time. Like Nick was the man when I went there, and that was the conversation. We was constantly like talking, like he like, bro, if you come, man, you could play now, man. George Lynch, man, we could use you right now. So you work your end, I'll work this end. I'm like, all right, well, you know, every time they ask, I can't take it no more. You know, I'm feeding them all that. And they tell me, man, we need a power forward, you know, on his end. And I never forget, man, I got a call up to Jerry Krause and Phil Jackson's office, and they was like, well, you know, hey, what's going on with you, man? Like, what's your point? I said, I just don't think I'm gonna be successful here, man. You know, me in this triangle, and then y'all not never give me a chance to play. I just want to try something new. And Jerry was sitting right there. He said, well, man, let me tell you something. You're my guy. I drafted you. And I take pride in everybody who I draft. What can I do to help you be successful? So where would you like to go?
Shit me.
Come on, man.
First flight out.
Hey,
Shit me.
But how often do they?
Yeah, ain't nobody asking
Come
like
on,
that.
man.
Not an NBA.
Swear to
You don't
God.
get asked like that.
I looked at him and like, man, I think I'd be good in L.A. He said, well, I can't promise you nothing, but if that's going to make you happy and you're going to be able to succeed, I'll do my best. And I went out there and did a sideways kick or, you know, like, hey, Nick, now it's on you now, Nick. You know what I mean? So, man, lo and behold, I got that call from my agent like, you know, Jerry West said they're going to make the trade. And I think they traded me for a pack of cigarettes and some now laters. I don't remember what it was, but once I got to LA, man,
I remember it was a draft
over.
pick.
Like that team, though, you got to realize that team was a young team. You know what I mean? And I was with old veteran guys, Ron Harper, Horace, BJ, you know, so, you know, I'm in my 6'4" Impala. I ain't feeling none of that being from where they from. You know, I know I was the first one on the Bulls team with a 6'4" hitting switches, pulling up. You know what I'm saying? So once I got home, it was
right.
It was
relief.
Over. Yeah, it was over.
Yeah, that sounds like the place to be back then.
Yeah.
Then they got shot.
Yeah.
So.
Then they got the big fella.
totally change things around with C Blood. I got a couple more things I want to ask you on the way out. I always ask this to every UC basketball legend we have in here. Give me your top 5 UC lineup of all time.
Mine?
Yep.
Well, you mean history? Because, see, I didn't get to see Oscar Robertson, but I know he was great. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and that's why we
you trying to go that far back or the new era?
Like, put him in a category by itself.
Yeah, that's a guy, basically.
Yeah, modern, starting from your,
I would say Nick Van Exel.
He's on everybody's list.
At the point. 2 guard. I would put Nick and Steve in the backcourt. Steve Logan. My forward, my 3 guard.
You got a list.
Whew.
You got a list.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Man, that's a tough one. Yeah, I'll come back to the 3. I'll come back to the 3.
I was about
definitely,
to put some names down for you.
I'm not gonna put myself in there because I know at the 5 position, Kenyon Martin dominated college basketball that year. And I actually saw his progress during them 4 years when I would come home playing against him, working out with him. He just kept getting better and better and better. And then his senior year, I came back and I'm like, this nigga on steroids or something. Like,
it's a different beast.
He dominated college basketball. So he's definitely my 5. At the 4 position, I got to go with the big dog, Danny Fortson.
I knew he was going.
He was my 4 on mine.
Yeah, got to go with Danny. And then at 3, man, oh my God, because it's
you got DJ,
you got Melvin, DJ, Melvin. You got I would put Ruben in that position.
Kobe stopper.
Tony.
Tony won't even let you say it.
Yeah,
Tony just won his spot as the 6th man.
He's won his spot.
Yeah, he know he the first.
Yeah, but if I got a squad and I know what he do, I'm gonna put him in that
Hugs actually put him in his top 5.
Oh, yeah, I can see
as the shooter.
Yeah. Tony had that knockdown, man, and he wasn't scared of nothing.
Nope.
So
fear.
that's the tough spot right there to me. Like you said, with DJ and so many even guys. I mean, Jaron Cumberland to me held his own at that small position. Not just putting that era of guys, but he was a beast.
Your T-Bay, Herb Jones,
Kilpatrick. Kilpatrick was.
It's sad that I got to not include Herb in that conversation because his body of work, he was only there really 2 years, but I only got a really chance to feel what he did 1 year. And his 1 year was, unbelievable. But yeah, that would. I would override everybody and put Herb at that 3.
Got Herb at 3.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I
Real
like
tough.
that lineup.
Yeah.
So lastly, we'll get you out of here, C Blood, man. You played 11 years in the NBA, and actually you played a couple years overseas too, didn't you? No?
I ain't never step over that water.
Okay.
I was good.
It's good after 11 years in the league.
I was good, man.
So, we have a lot of people, all different age ranges that, watch this program, tune in. If you had to give advice to, any of the young cats in high school right now looking to potentially play, at the next level in college, and obviously everybody's dream to play in the NBA one day, what would you tell young, aspiring basketball players, young ladies and young men, actually?
Man, I can only base it off my story, and I'm going to give you 2 stories to kind of reiterate where I'm going with this. The first story is that one day I was acting up in school, man, and my great-grandmother got the call. I got suspended, and we were sitting at the table. And I never forget, she said, let me tell you something. As long as you live in the way we live, and you only got 3 words that you can use to help you with what you got to offer. And I'm sitting there like, huh? Yeah, you can't offer nobody nothing. But it's 3 words you need to know that's gonna be able to help your ass. I'm sitting there like, what's that? She said, you better learn how to say, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, and thank you. And I'm like, yes, sir, yes, ma'am. Grandma, that's 6 words. You know what the hell I'm thinking. But basically, she was just saying you got to respect older people, because if you don't respect older people, they're not going to reach down and help you. And those are the people that can probably help you more than anybody. So I always understood that after that conversation, because when I went to high school, when I played for Mel Sims, it was yes, sir. And him willing to helped me go to another school. Coming to find out, he said he did that because I always showed him respect. So respect carried the weight for me. And then when I got to junior college, I'm the man pretty much, and I'm talking trash one game, and me and this fool going back and forth, and I get kicked out the game, and we end up losing. And my junior college coach told me, he said, you're going to have to tone your attitude down because, yeah, they lost their guy, but we lost you and we lost the game. You won't win by being an asshole like that. Let your game speak for yourself. So I kind of toned down that rah-rah shit and just really started focusing on my game. So that's what I would tell any young player. First of all, respect your coaches, respect your teammates, especially the ones that's going to war with you every day, and then respect everybody else that's around you. For sure. That's one thing I would say, if anything.
Words to live by. Y'all heard it from the UC legend himself, the Hall of Famer Corie Blount, in the place to be. So, brother, we appreciate you for stopping by.
Man, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it, man. I didn't get a chance to call Tony, but it's all good.
Well, we'll definitely reach out to Tony Maloney. I'm going to send him the picture afterwards. I know he's going to call me as soon as he get it.
Yeah, no doubt.
So,
man, I appreciate y'all having me, man.
Appreciate you, man. We've been trying to get you ahead. That's all that we wanted.
I told him at the homecoming, he said, when you going to have me on? I said, man, I'm waiting on you.
Right. Man.
But happy to finally have you on. Want to remind everybody to tune in on Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts. I'm leaving off one. YouTube, SoundCloud. We everywhere. So no excuses. Check us out. Follow us. Your host, I am Farrell. Checking out with the Brown, Bruce Wayne, Big John.
Yes, sir.
Will West, the best Nate.
You know it.
And UC legend Corie Blount.